Okay, so we're going to go over all the steps required in taking x-rays, specifically for small animal, but it's pretty similar for large animal. So we have to make sure that we charge for the x-rays. So you go to the schedule, double click on the appointment, and then come down to diagnostic request. And if you type in radiographs, it'll come up. You add that. So we've charged for it. We're all good to go there. So let's get the x-ray machine set up and ready for the patient. So first step, you're going to turn on the x-ray generator. Obviously, you can't take an x-ray unless this thing's working. Get that all unwound and ready to be used. And then we'll turn on our x-ray interface, the DR we call it. So there's a little power button here on the side. You're going to press that until the screen comes up. And then we've got the batteries that go in the plate. Hang on, just hold on. So these we have to apply to the plate so that we know that it's going to connect to our DR. And the batteries, if they're in there from before, will definitely be dead. So you're going to want to take a fresh battery out of here. So you push this to the side, your battery pops out. Is that a fresh battery that you grabbed? So then you'll take your battery, grab your plate, be very careful because these things are extremely expensive and you don't want to be the one getting yelled at for messing it up. On the back of your plate is the spot where the battery goes. And if you match up the little, this thing to this thing on there, that just slides in and then it locks up here. Then you're going to pull up the protective cover on the plate and then make sure that your battery is not what's facing up, because you're not going to be able to get an x-ray if you put that next to your patient facing towards the x-ray machine. So you're going to flip over your plate so that this is facing the generator on your x-ray machine. Set it under the x-ray generator. And then we've got some labels so that we can tell what we're looking at once the patient's on the table. Get that ready. Sometimes you might want to tape that on, especially if you're doing equine things. By now, the DR interface should be up and running. So we need to add this patient that we're going to x-ray. Today we're going to do Clancy the dog. So you hit the plus button, and this is where you can enter in all of the patient information. So that keyboard's not working, but enter the patient's name. So Clancy, patient ID, we do the date, which it is 5/7 of 2024, and then the dog's or the horse's name. You can put an estimated weight in here. It does require that, so he's about 55 pounds. And then over here, everything that's labeled or outlined in red, you have to enter in for it to start a new study. So owner last name is Gazda. Once you've filled out all of these fields, you click the next arrow and it brings up basically the areas that you're going to x-ray. So you can talk with your doctor about what we're x-raying. So in this case, we're going to do pictures of his body, so his chest and his abdomen. So we go to body. There's also all the forelimbs and hind limbs here. So we want to do some images of his abdomen. So select abdomen. And then there's different shots you can take of each area on the animal. So DV stands for dorsoventral, so that means that the x-ray beams are going from the dog's back, hitting that first, and then going down through the ventral part, or the bottom part of his abdomen, and then it's hitting the plate. So we always label the x-ray shots based on how those X-ray beams are going through the patient. Now, if you're doing a lateral, which means that the animal's laying on their side, we're going from left to right or right to left, then you label the X-ray based on what side of the animal is touching the plate. So if Clancy is laying on his left side, it's the left lateral that we're taking a picture of. So typically for all of our studies, especially for thorax and abdomen, we'll do a left lateral and then roll him over and do a right lateral. And then we'll lay him on his back and do a VD, or a ventrodorsal projection. And that's going to go, those X-ray beams will go through the ventral part, or his belly, through his back, the dorsal part, and then hit the plate. So once you have your images selected, and I also want to do some thorax images here. So we'll also do a left lateral, a right lateral, and a VD of the thorax. So I've selected all of my images. They're here in the shot list. Once I'm ready there, we hit the next button, and then this will spin around and eventually connect to the plate. If it's green and it makes that beeping sound, then you're all connected, you're good to go. If it's red, then you might need to change out the battery on the plate and try to refresh this guy up here to get it connected to the plate. So everything is ready to take the X-rays on this end. So now we're going to deal with getting the patient in and setting our X-ray generator to the right settings to get the picture that we want. So normally you'll go out to the exam room and get the patient, but he's right here. So come here, bud. Sit. Okay, so once you're about ready to do your X-rays, everyone is going to put on lead. And if you don't, Katie's going to be really mad and you might get cancer. So don't do that. So your apron is going to go on just like an apron. Arms through the holes. And then you've got this waist thing that kind of cinches the apron in around you so it doesn't fall off. And then we put our neck protector on so that we don't get thyroid issues. And we're ready to go there. So I'm going to switch the camera around. And change my microphone. And Ryan's going to demonstrate again, how do we put on our lead vest? Excellent. Okay, so once everybody's suited up, we've got to take measurements of our patient because that's going to determine how we set our X-ray generator. So for the abdominal X-rays, we measure from side to side for the lateral X-rays, and he's about 15.5 centimeters. And then we'll go from dorsal to ventral. So tuck it in under his belly and match it up with his back. And we're at about 19.5 centimeters there. And then we'll check the thorax later because I'll probably forget the numbers by then. So then we have to find our correct set of parameters here. This is the one we want. So each X-ray generator is going to have a specific chart that tells you what you need to set the numbers up here to in order to get the image that you want based on the thickness of the body part that you're looking at. So we're going to look at Clancy's abdomen. For our lateral views, he was about 15 centimeters wide. So we find our body part, we're doing the abdomen. We come down to our measurement around 15 centimeters, and that will tell you the KV value and the amount of time that those X-rays are going to be going through our patient. So we need 66 for the KV. So we come up here, find KV, and then match those numbers up. This is upside down, but there's 66. And then the amount of time for 15 centimeters going through the abdomen is 0.7. So that's this MAS per second. We'll go to 0.7. Okay, and then we're ready to go. And this should be all up and running. You should be able to get a light that comes on. You can match up your plate with where the lights are so that everything's included in your image. And then let's get this out of here. And then we can get our patient and get some images. So we have the left lateral selected. So we're going to lay him on his left side because the left side is going to be touching the plate. You can go ahead and lay him down. Okay, good boy, Cleus. All right, and then we can widen or narrow up the area that's going to be imaged based on these little dials up here. So that can be adjusted, and you want to try to get it as focused on what you're trying to get your picture of as possible. So we've got everything we want to image in our picture there. So everybody's hands are out of the way. You don't want your hands in the picture. You want to minimize your exposure to those x-rays. So then we take our little thing, squeeze it in, it beeps, and then it should show up over here on our x-ray images. Perfect. So that's our left abdominal image. So next it has the right lateral of the abdomen selected. If we wanted to do the VD on his back next, then you just have to select that. So let's go ahead and do that. No, never mind. Let's do the right lateral. And if you're not sure, you can click on it and we'll show you what you need to center the dog there. So now we're going to roll him over to his right side. Good boy, Kings. Good boy. Good boy. And I forgot on the last one, but you do want to put a little label on here. So because we're doing just a lateral of the abdomen, we're going to put the R up because he's on his right side. So R for right side so that it shows up in the picture. Okay, all right. And you want him to be nice and square. We don't want him to be like all cockeyed. And the more still they are, the better the image is going to be. If there's a lot of motion, then your image is going to be blurry and you'll probably have to redo it. Oh boy. Okay. And then our right image came up. You can see our little tag there, our marker for right. So now we'll go back to our chart because we're going to do the VD image. Where is our chart? I'll just have to wait. Okay, so he was around 19 centimeters thick. So the KV for an abdominal view for 19 centimeters is 70 on the KV and 0.09 on the MAS. Okay, so we're set for that. Come back here, we've got our abdominal VD selected. So we're good to go to obtain our image. Now, when we put them on their back, it's important that they're nice and squared up. So we'll roll him here. Make sure that we have everything in the picture that we want. Hey, plants. Okay. And we're going to use our tag to differentiate which side is his right and his left. So his left side is over here. We're going to put the L down. Hey, bud, you're okay. You're okay. And then we'll try to pull these legs straight and hold them nice and square, no twisting. There we go. Good boy. Good boy. We can put him down. Oh, good boy. Okay. And then once you have all of your images, you can go back to the exam room. You can take off all of your x-ray stuff. And then eventually at the end of the day or at some point once you're done with your study, you can send the x-ray. Once you're done with your study, you can send your x-rays to our PACS system, which is pretty simple. I won't do it here because we are going to take more images here in a minute. But you hit this little thing in the corner with the check mark. That'll take you back to the list of all of the x-rays that you did that day. And then this is super simple. Coming up here, you've got your little papers with an arrow. So that will send your studies for the day. You hit that. And then you can select the time frame. So we just want to send our studies from today to our online system so we can access them in other places. And you'll click Send All Unsent Studies. It'll send it to our online interface, and then we can upload those to EasyVet or email them or look at them from our laptops at home. And then when the day is over, we want to make sure that we shut down this machine, shut down our x-ray generator, and take out the battery so that it's not drained on our plate. Because this stuff is really expensive, we want to make sure that the batteries don't die on everything or run for too long, because then whenever you come back and need to take an x-ray the next day, then you have to shut it all down and start it over again. So get things ready for the next time you'll need them. So that is it for x-rays.